Howdy, this is Severely Zero, and today we are going to be testing a claim about the Mimic. So, with the most recent update and the release of new ghosts, there was a new, I guess, mechanic added that a Banshee and the Dayan can only be female. Meaning that if you load into a game and the name is male, or you see the ghost and the model is male, it cannot be either one of those. But the question that we keep seeing over and over again is, can a male mimic a Banshee or Dayan? Now, we haven't been able to get a super confident answer from any of the devs on this one, so we're just going to do a simple test. I am here on Tanglewood in a zero evidence game with Friendly Ghost. I have found ghost orbs, so I know that it's a mimic, and this mimic's name is Robert, so it is male. It is in the nursery, and what we're going to do is we are going to go to the dining room, and we are going to take a paramic, and we're just going to listen. This should cover the majority of the house, so that we can make sure we're hearing everything that happens. And with that in place, let's show that it is indeed a mimic with ghost orbs. And let's go to the dining room. And we will just sit here and listen until we hear a Banshee scream. Because if we do hear a Banshee scream, we know that it's mimicking a Banshee. And if it does, that means that a male mimic can mimic a Banshee, and therefore it can most likely mimic a Dayan as well. So we will be back when that happens. So, it appears as though we are 10 hours, 58 minutes, and 18 seconds into this particular round. The results of which are completely unexpected. So, in this time that we've been watching, we haven't heard a single Banshee scream. And that is very, very interesting. So you can see on the bottom right hand of the paramic that this game has lasted for nearly 11 hours. So we're gonna go in back to the lobby with the mimic and show that it is. So it was indeed the mimic. And we showed at the beginning that it was a male. And so the initial question that we were answering is, can a male mimic a Banshee and a Dayan? Now, this test really only focuses on Banshee because we have a really easy discernible test in zero evidence. But let's see. So yeah, the total time investigating was 11 hours, 8 minutes, and 5 seconds. No room changes. It changed ghosts 678 times. And did a ton of interactions. So we need to break this down statistically. So if we break this down into the statistics, because what we originally thought is that it would be able to, and so we would be proving a positive, which is really simple. Which is why initially I thought maybe it'll run for a couple hours, we'll get the scream, whatnot. But 11 hours with no scream is a little bit different, and that means that we are having to prove a negative. And unlike some of the other videos where we've had to do something similar, the percentages of things happening in this case are so low that we had to make sure that there was enough time. And we realized about 4 to 5 hours in that this was likely going to be the case, so we did let it run for 11 hours. So, the way that this works is the mimic will periodically change the ghost that it's imitating at random intervals between 30 and 120 seconds, selecting what we assume is uniformly from a pool of 27 possible ghosts, including itself. Now, with the paranormal sounds, we know that those occur independently of that at random intervals between 80 and 120 seconds-ish. So, if the mimic is imitating a banshee, then it has the same odds as a banshee to produce a scream, which is a 1 in 3 chance that a paranormal sound from a banshee is going to be one of its screams. The probability that any given paranormal sound is a banshee scream is going to be the product of the probability of the mimic being a banshee, which is 1 in 27, and the probability that a banshee's paranormal sound is its scream, which is 1 in 3. This gives us a global probability of 1 in 81, or 1.23%, that any given paranormal sound will be a banshee scream. For simplicity, we are going to use the average period that paranormal sounds occur, which is 100 seconds. Any deviation from this average would be minimal and not have a significant impact on the conclusion. The video we do have of the paranormal sounds is 9 hours and 38 minutes. Over that 9 hours and 38 minutes, assuming a paranormal sound every 100 seconds, we expect there to be 347 independent paranormal sound events. Assuming the mimic can mimic a banshee, the probability of hearing 0 screams in 347 independent events is going to be 1 minus the probability of a single sound being a scream, which is 1 in 81, all raised to the power of the number of independent events, which is 347. This results in a probability of 0.0134 or 1.34% that we did not hear a scream in 347 sounds. In statistics, this is our p-value. Given how unlikely this outcome is, the most reasonable explanation is that male mimics do not perform banshee screams. Formally, this corresponds to rejecting the null hypothesis at the 5% significance level, since 0.0134 is less than 0.05. Now, this does not prove that a male mimic scream is impossible. It means that, if it were possible, what we observed would be very surprising. When an outcome is this unlikely, statistics tells us it is more reasonable to question the assumption than to assume we were simply unlucky. The absence of screams isn't just bad luck on our part, it's statistically meaningful. Given the statistical significance and observed behavior, Zero Network's official stance is male mimics cannot mimic a banshee, and by association, male mimics cannot mimic a Dayan either. But we like to be thorough here at the Zero Network, so we would also like to get a benchmark of if the female mimic can get a banshee scream and therefore mimic a banshee. So we are here on Willow with a mimic named Linda. Linda is in the bathroom. There's the ghost orbs on our zero evidence game, so we know it's a mimic. We are going to go stand in the corner of the garage facing that direction so that we can hear it even if it wanders. And we're just going to listen for a banshee scream. So it sounds like we were able to get a Banshee scream from this mimic, though I am learning that there are a lot of paranormal sounds that have a very similar tone, but I'll go back in editing and I'll highlight that scream. But yeah, so female mimic can mimic a banshee, because we got the scream. And we were only in this round for about an hour total. So not bad at all. Yeah, hour 5 minutes, I guess. And yeah, so we heard the Banshee scream from a female mimic. And in the previous contract with the male mimic, we didn't get a Banshee scream for 11 hours. So I think that's pretty conclusive based on the statistics that we did previously and what we're seeing here, that a male mimic cannot mimic a Banshee or a Dayan. Now, this doesn't have a huge impact on gameplay. It's just kind of a fun factoid to know. And if you do come up with tests surrounding that particular knowledge, we'd love to hear them. And if you have anything else you'd like us to research or look into, we love to do it. And you can submit those ideas at our Discord, which is linked down in the description. We hope to see you there. And thank you so much for watching.